This event was amazing.
On a whole, it's been one of the better events I've done for a long time.
Oh my God, that was awesome.
One of the best rallies I've done in New Zealand for a number of years.
It's so cool coming and doing something brand new, really. The roads we haven't seen before, so very, very exciting.
When you come to Invercargill, what do you think of?
Oh, beautiful scenery, rugged coastlines, dairy farming.
What about the fact you smashed bluff oysters while we were here?
There's that too.
Got to be done.
There is that.
Right. Southern Lights.
Southern Lights.
Now, the organisers of an event in the New Zealand Rally Championship, it was back after 20 years, kind of played on that whole notion of the Southern Lights as well, because rallying these days doesn't often have a lot of nighttime or stages in the dark, does it?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't anymore. We also got really lucky with the timing of this event, I think, with the shortest day too. But night stages were a very welcome addition to the championship this year, I think.
So really cool. Back in the New Zealand Championship for the first time in 20 years, taking in Southland. We went out in the lead up to the event. You're a proper co-driver. I'm not a competitor
You did pretty
as
well.
such. But we got to have a look at some of the stages, and the roads were epically fast, weren't they?
They were amazing. I got a bit of FOMO, to be honest.
Yep.
The stages were just incredible. Crests everywhere, rolling hills, snow-capped mountains. It was amazing. But the roads themselves, so fast, so varied, so exciting.
Great backdrop, rugged. I got a whole new appreciation for Southland. I mean, the pictures that our cameramen were able to get, it just in places like McCracken's Rest. You're in Invercargill, one of the southernmost cities in the world. Right, so now we've got another big sporting event in these parts. And the ceremonial start takes place at Bill Richardson Transport World, which is where we're having a coffee now. So there's 300 exhibits here, lots of trucks, just about everywhere. It's huge, absolutely huge. And we had the creme de la creme of New Zealand rallying here taking part, didn't we?
We did.
And as we were kind of approaching the halfway mark of the championship, there's a couple of stories. I mean, firstly, one of our brightest talents in the past decade who's competed in the World Rally Championship, who's won the European Championship, he was back here, Hayden Padden, as car one.
Absolutely. And he was just loving this event.
One of the best rallies I've done in New Zealand for a number of years, just in terms of the whole package, everything from our side anyway ran like clockwork, timing of the event. The stages were a real nice challenge. Just how the whole rally looks with the commercial side of things, and really like where it's taken the sport. And it's been an enjoyable weekend. Lots of fans out as well, and a real community vibe within the event.
We haven't had anything with this much variation before. I guess the night stages, the very, very early start in the morning, they did a long stage in the pitch black, and then also a series of stages throughout the day, separated by very short services. So it was quite a demanding day.
It was nice to see this all kind of coming together, because it's been a project of passion, of pure love for a couple of blokes.
So much dedication.
Yeah, and they did it with this, they'll hate us shining a light on them here, right? But they did it with this love of the sport and appreciating its foundations, but challenging the way we go about this. Why can't we do it in a fresh way?
I don't know what to badge you guys as, because disruptive sounds harsh, right? But yet you're taking a fresh approach to the way you go about rallying, but at the same time you're doing it by putting your arm around the kind of current constituents. How has that juggle gone?
Yeah, it's something that I've always wanted to do myself, and Tony, funnily enough, and we've just really connected with how we both think and how we both work, and we look at every piece of the event and we go, why do we need to do it that way? Does it have to be done that way? And if it does have to be done that way, well then that's fine, we'll do that. And there's parts of it that we go, well, we could actually change this. But at the same time, we've both been competitors. Tony still is a competitor, and so we look at it through the eyes of the competitor and go, well, what would they think, and are they going to be happy with that change, and do we think that's going to work for them? The competitors are a really big part of it for us. We want to make sure that they're having a good time, and they are also doing what they love, and the spirit of rally, which is an adventure, we really want them to experience that. But it doesn't just stop at the competitors either. The service crews, we think about them, and we think about how's their adventure going to go with it as well, and what's the best route for them to take, and where does that fit in. So we look at every single piece of the event and just try and make it a little bit different. So I guess we are a little bit disruptive.
The notion of night stages excites everybody. What got you over the line on that? Was that one of the big sort of impetuses or pushes in the first place?
Oh, look, rallying and night and lights are what makes rallying. And we've gone away from it a little bit in New Zealand, and it is tough and it's hard to organise. It's hard for every facet of it, right through to the timing crews. My very first event I ever did as a co-driver when I was 16 years old was the Daybreaker Rally starting at midnight and in the dark. Rallying and dark, it goes together. It really makes it, it's just the dark is rallying. So we had to do it, and we've obviously doing it here, and we're going to have a portion of that in the Daybreaker as well.
There's a great buzz about this whole thing, and the kind of unofficial motorsport mayor of Invercargill, if you like, is often down the road at Teretonga in Scott O'Donnell.
People are impressed to bring national level events back to town. I mean, this is a real motorsport town. We've got great track, we've got go-karts, motocross, speedway, boats, we've got it all. And every plumber here's got a Camaro and every chippy's got a Mustang. So, I mean, it's a real motoring town. And it can happen that way because the cost of living's low and the incomes aren't much less than Auckland. So the gap's big, so people can afford to go and invest in toys.
He wasn't just talking the talk. He was in this boots and all in a really cool RX3, wasn't he?
A massive grin on his face too every time we saw him. But gosh, that car is loud.
Yeah.
It really, it would have woken up every single thing that was living in those forests.
Some other great stories throughout the field too. The sport has this great mixture of community and characters. And there is one lady in the field who kind of spoils the constituents and makes sure our officials are looked after. And she does it in this really cute way, doesn't she?
It's so, literally so sweet.
So I'm known in rallying circles throughout New Zealand as the lolly lady. And, you're never supposed to take a lolly from a strange person, but when I say, would you like a lolly, it seems to do the trick.
What can people here at the Southern Lights Rally expect when the lolly lady comes past, either in control, either on stage, or maybe even in service parts?
Well, if there's not a lot of puddles around, I tend to throw them out to the marshals. Because, they're standing there for 5 or 6 hours and, it's pretty horrible. I always make sure at the start of the rally that all the officials tend to have a bag. I feed the paramedics because if I see them, I need them. So, I've already paid. Towies, they all get lollies as well. Yeah, everyone that comes around. And some people come and say hello just so they know I'll give them a lolly.
Now, this story we allocated an hour for. We finished our filming in about 15 minutes. So you know what the really good thing about that is?
No.
A couple of sweet tooths can go shopping in Toots here.
That's a great idea.
If you're a car lover, the field had everything too, right? From Hayden Padden's Hyundai and all the professionalism that goes around that, Skodas, Emma Gilmore in a Citroen, and then some other icons in the field that you love. So much history.
Yeah, the whole weekend I was fawning over the Mark II escorts in the field, and
A few people putting their hands up to say mine's the best one.
yes, but there was an interesting addition to the field at this rally.
Come on. A car that has been used by countless taxi drivers on both sides of the ditch, arguably made famous by supercars at places like Bathurst and so on. And this particular car has its origins or is celebrated in something of a bogan capital of New Zealand, in Gore.
Yes, well said. I think they were quite proud of that too with this car.
And Matt and Nev were a couple of blokes who didn't have the easiest run on this event, but they made it to the finish, and that in itself was a story.
Well, it was a bit of a decision a couple of years ago, just about as COVID come along. Needed something to do, and I'd always wanted a V8 rally car. Because they're the ideal rally car. I remember this car from following it through a forestry one time and laughing like anything watching it, thinking I'm going to own that car one day, and made a few phone calls, found it, bought it, restored it back to what it is now, and that's how it came about. Yeah.
Matt, this is a bit of a joint project in some respects. You've been hands-on on the build too, haven't you?
Yeah, look, we sort of triaged the original and decided it needed major surgery, and yeah, that's been 2 years getting that. So recaged, seam welded. Basically, we've added weight to it.
Couple of Kiwis in a trusted Aussie taxi here, and it's got some grunt too, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, we know the Kiwi drivers and Aussie cars go pretty well, so yeah, what could go wrong?
179 kilometres an hour with 0 brakes is definitely fun. I mean, they go, that's it on the floor.
Amazing. And also, I mean, the success of Daybreaker caught the attention of Molly Taylor from Australia, who came over for Southern Lights Rally.
Few Aussies over here, that Aussie-Kiwi rivalry thing very much in...
yes.
I mean, her co-driver Andy Sarandis came as well. We saw others in the field too.
𝗪𝗫𝗫𝗫
as well, among the field. But Molly, it was her first ever adventure in New Zealand from a rallying perspective. She'd heard so much about it, and it was a bit of a bucket list moment.
Yeah, we had so much fun and great to be over here in New Zealand rallying finally. Firstly, huge thanks to Castrol and Magnum Motorsport for making this all happen. It was a big day, a lot of new things to wrap my head around. So it was, from a driving point of view, it was a really good experience to be able to throw myself into that. And yeah, to come away with a good result is the icing on the cake. So very happy.
Finally, will you be tempted to come back again? There's some epic roads in this country, North or South Island. Would you come back and play again?
That's what everyone keeps telling me. And there were, a couple of stages today that were just real crackers and so much fun to drive. So I don't think it would take too much arm twisting.
One other youngster that's in the last couple of years really become this polished prospect in the car and out of the car as well.
Zeal Jones?
Yeah.
He is an up-and-comer.
I mean, they had some fuel pressure issues with that car, but I still think the way he's grown, I mean, hopefully he can maybe grab a podium in this championship before the year's out. I mean, the ingredients are there, aren't they?
He is so committed to getting that extra 1% in every aspect of rallying. It's really cool.
I think when we caught up with you today at the end of 4, you were talking about fuel pressure issues maybe. What came of that and were you able to solve it?
Yeah, so it actually started at the end of 2. I saw it flashing and we had a pretty challenging 2 as for many people today. So it started there and then it carried on through to the middle loop of stages. So that was really challenging to diagnose what it was and understand it and work around it, because whenever you see a big flashing red light on your dash, you slow down immediately. So we lost a good chunk of time through there, but then through the next service we kind of diagnosed and understood it. So we were able to give it a bit of more of a push in the last loop, and I think we showed a bit more true pace, and it was super cool to do that, because I think we struggled a little bit. I was a little bit down. I nearly caught Emma in the end, but not quite. So look, it's still a long year ahead, and I'm looking forward to it.
This game always has had a family aspect to it, and it's very much so in your case. How is all of that for someone who's a competitive person who clearly wants to go overseas, but you've got your family around you too, don't you?
Yeah, look, I think family's a really important aspect to have around you, and to have them and lean on them is really cool. And yeah, it's just something really cool to have. And there's plenty of families around who do it, but not quite like us. With Kingsley owns the car, he's my uncle, Waverley's co-driver, she's my auntie, and then Dad's basically team manager, and it's just super cool to have that kind of aspect. And obviously there's going to be the bickering every now and then, but that's part of it. So it makes it really fun, and we can rely on each other, knowing that there's plenty of trust there for whatever direction we take.
Now, we used the word history before, right? And I tend to love that aspect of motorsport generally.
Yeah.
Couple of milestones.
Yeah.
So firstly, Robbie Stokes, who was in the fight for the outright win, and certainly, I mean, he ended up on the podium, which was was amazing. His dad,
Brian.
3 decades ago, right here.
And to see Brian out here as well, supporting both sons and Amy, his daughter, in the car too, he was so proud. It was so cool. But we caught up with him to chat about his memories here in Southland, and he was just beaming with the return of the rally to this gorgeous region.
How have you been preparing, Robbie, for this event? Have you been reminiscing?
Oh, we certainly have a few stories around the kitchen table of adventures we've had in Southland, and all sorts of things have happened to us down here, but really fond memories, and typical friendly Southlanders, great fun. The rallying now is so much different. The level of commitment with the pace notes, it's extraordinary, and I take my hat off to them. They don't need any advice from me, I'm really proud of them, and it's pretty special.
Another one was the Hawkeswood family. Now, it didn't necessarily work out for Jack, but I mean, 20 years ago, Andrew, who was here with us, he had some success on these Southland roads. It's so good to have this event back as a part of the championship again. Another legend, you rattle off names like that, Stokes and Hawkeswood and so on. Another one was spotted in Service Park late on Saturday and offering some real support to Ben Hunt.
Absolutely. We were wandering through the Service Park in 𝗬𝗄𝗃 and came across Ben Hunt's car with Neil Allport hanging out the door, just having a bit of a yarn.
As you do.
As you do. Richard Allport was also catching up with Tony at the same time, so there was quite a bit of knowledge sharing there. But I feel like Neil was really supporting Ben to get the most out of this event.
It's just about understanding. Ben's been trying to get his head around the tyre and stuff, and I think we've made some good gains here today. Realistically, his mileage compared to say Hayden's and where Hayden's just come from, you've got to put all that in perspective. Yeah. So it's not a case of like, I'm just getting my doors blown off here. You got to use that. You got to use that to look to see where you can improve. You got to stick in the ground there with Hayden. Yeah. So you got to start driving yourself closer to it. Yeah.
We were treated to a great fight up front. Hayden Padden from the get-go established this lead, and you got to pause and reflect on the fact that he's always in a rally car, here or overseas.
Rallying is his
life. And that showed in the kind of buffer that he built at the front.
Immediately.
Right? But behind him, that fight between Stokes and Ben Hunt, that just seesawed throughout Saturday.
It's been an awesome battle with Robbie all year. Otago was only not many seconds in it, and then only 0.2 at Timaru, so to only have 4 or 5 seconds here again is pretty unreal. So good to be on the other side of the battle this time. But yeah, looking forward to heading back to Daybreaker Rally and some of the more technical ones on the North Island. Suits our car a lot better, and I was trying today. It's just a bit gutting when you're in some of the faster stuff and your average speed's so high and you're still losing time. But yeah, had a ball, and the roads down here at Grouse, awesome driver stages.
Yeah, we had a lot of issues today, and I don't want to make excuses, but that was the mitigating factor that we lost second to Ben. Credit to him, he did a great job all day and stayed on it, and we've tried really hard in that power stage, but he was really good time from him.
And Jack Hawkeswood as well, Zeal Jones popping in some top 5 stage times in there too, just to keep it exciting. But the competition was, we didn't know how it was going to go as the day unfolded.
A couple of things caught our cameraman's eye.
Yes.
One local competitor took some unorthodox lines, but boy, they were fast.
Well, everything within the fences is fair game. So, road, grass, hot lines. Yeah. But yes, Andrew Graves, bit of a local legend down here with his son in the car too, which was awesome. Ended up on the podium too, but gosh, it was so cool to see them just absolutely getting the most out of their Evo on these stages. Like I said before, huge mix of cars down here. We've got world-class Rally 2, WRC2 cars, right down to the home-built cars, but also some classics that have been rallying these roads for years and years, and Andrew has one of those.
There was one incident for an escort as well, and I love the way the community kind of all rallied around to get
beautiful.
This thing repaired and keep them on track.
Absolutely. Quite the spectacle seeing the windscreen pulled out of that car and replaced within minutes.
And we finished, fittingly, at Teretonga.
Yes.
So, some of the legends that have come there over the years, from the likes of Graham Hill, I think Jimmy Clark, locals that have been famous. And we ran the stage around the track, basically.
It was awesome with some gravel in there as well.
Of course.
But I heard a couple of the volunteers that spend a lot of time at the track say that it was one of the biggest crowds that they'd seen there in a long time.
Felt like it.
Just the whole community here in Southland was so excited to have rally cars back.
And now, going into Daybreaker and the back end of the season, 1 point. Robbie leads the championship by 1 point over Ben Hunt. That is going to be a gripping into the 2024 title race.
It really will be. We're heading up to the North Island next, so a bit of a different challenge. The Rally 2 cars will definitely shine up there with the tight, twisty stages. It's just max speed down here, so the AP4s have really had an advantage. But
some sore heads this morning, lots of celebrations, and much needed coffee. Here's to the 2025 edition of the Southern Lights Rally. Well done, you.
Let's go.
We'd love to get to a point where we could have successful events as part of the championship. And we've got an even bigger goal as well, but it's a little bit out of reach, but we'll see how that bubbles. And it's probably not what everyone's thinking. It's something quite different.